Like, how did you position yourself in a way to where you were able to get a professional contract at 13 years old?
Honestly, man, I just grew up having fun, and whatever was fun for me, my dad and I were doing it. And you know, it's funny because I go back to this story all the time where I was in hockey and I was a young kid. You know, I was 10, 11 years old. My brother was 8 or 9. He was a goalie on our team, and I was defense. And you know, I just would go in and clean the crease out, get kicked out of the games, and you know, multi-game suspensions. And finally, my dad like pulled me to the side, and he's like, "You either get serious about playing clean hockey, or you're gonna get pulled from the team, and you're coming with me riding on the weekends." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, you can come snowmobiling with me, and I'll teach you how to ride." I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want to do that." You know, so my mom would take my younger brother to the rink, and my dad and I would go snowmobiling.
Yeah.
And that's how I grew up from, you know, the first time I was on snowmobiles was like, say, 5 years old.
Yeah.
But I guess that was kind of the turning point. Where
A little
it was
bit of
just
divide
like,
and conquer from the parents.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, my brother went off to be an excellent hockey player, and I went on to be a pretty all right snowmobiler.
Pretty decent snowmobiler, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of where it started. And then I always raced motocross as a kid. So from the time that I was 7, you know, even till current, like I'm still, what was that?
We just got buzzed by
Yeah,
something.
buzzed
I don't
the
know if you
towel.
guys picked that up, but
I seen the shadow come over. You know, so I've spent a lot of time in the industry, and to be able to, I guess, kind of reflect back and see where it all started, and racing motocross, and then just kind of transferring over, I found out about this sport called snowcross, and you know, I got to borrow a sled for one race, and I went out and I won. And then the next year, my dad bought me my own sled, and we went to all the races in our area, and I was winning.
did that tick a lot of people off?
I think it did.
Like this
Yeah.
dude just shows up
Yeah.
and just pulls places.
Right. You know, and I was, at that time, like the junior classes, there was 3 different classes, and it went from fan-cooled sleds to liquid-cooled sleds to, you know, they called it senior junior, which is like you could be up to 16. Like I would go in and I would sweep those classes all on one
Yeah.
fan-cooled sled. You know, and then I had a really successful year the first year that I raced, and the following year, another rider that my dad had sponsored suggested that we went out to Beausejour, Manitoba, and do this national race. I'm like, hell yeah, that'd be fun. And so we drove 20-something hours in the truck and got to this race, and it was an experience, man. It was crazy. I went there not knowing what to expect, and same thing, swept all my junior classes, was doing all the biggest jumps on the track, and had an awesome weekend. And it just happened to be that at the time, it was an off weekend for the National Series in the States. And the Blair Morgan Racing Team manager lives near Beausejour, and he was just kind of there chilling, watching, and I guess I was a standout of the day to him. And he came over and gave me his card and invited me to come check the shop out. And that next summer was when I signed my first contract.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It all happened so fast.
Yeah, it did. Sounds like, you know, kind of right place, right time, but it seems like the trajectory that you were on, it was just a matter of time before
that time
dots
and
were going to
place.
connect. Yeah.
100%. You know, like I was pretty dominant in my class at that age. And it's funny to like think, you know, like this 12-year-old kid, but it's just like,
Yeah.
it didn't matter what series we went to, what racetrack, or what type of surface we were on. Like I was able to figure it out. And that carries, you know, those things I learned as a 12-year-old carry through to my riding day to day now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty cool to have that.